Okay, so this is going to be part two, Dark Night of the Soul. Pluto transforms. Uh, excuse me. When I left off from the first recording, I was describing my experience versus Jesus' experience. It's a crossing out, but the dark night of the soul is crossing out so that you can transform your energy, transform who you are. Excuse me for the coughing. So, the transformation is for evolution. Pluto plays a big part in this. Um, the experience brings on um, deep feelings of your past. It makes you feel like you're falling apart. It makes you feel like you don't know who you are. Um, it affects your relationships and your professional life, all the people around you, your personal well-being. And so, in the first video, I did say that it's important for you to understand that this is about you. It's many people having dark night of the souls, which is a crossing out of old energy. It's time for you to step into new. It's not easy because this process actually affects your mind, body, and spirit. It affects your organs, your blood. It affects your mind tremendously because one of the things that I experienced was anxiety, feeling overwhelmed about things for long periods of times. Then there would be times when I felt great, long periods of not feeling confident, and then questioning myself of what has happened to me. Um, it wasn't just long periods of emotional challenges, it was also seeing the physical challenges and experiencing, feeling the physical challenges of relationships with peers, not understanding. But then you or I that's practicing spirituality, which is what the dark night of the soul is about, takes on the ambiance and the mindset to let go and let God, to live and let live. It brings me to the place where I am now, where I can see that people are doing, saying, and being, and I don't really want to have much to say about it. And when I say that in context to judging them, I discovered from the dark night of the soul that my journey is different from everyone else's. Yours is different from mine. And so when I coach people, I coach out of what I hear spirit talking to me about concerning them, signs and symbols that I may see, um, and navigating them into the place where they can make that evolutionary change concerning the dark night of the soul because people get stuck. If I could visually take you into the place where I am right now, as I described, being on a crossroad and trying to make a decision about which direction I'm going to go. I really have to make a decision, but this is where we begin to integrate more spirituality, even if we went through this once before, twice before, because you go through this process more than one time, depending on your soul contract. Okay, and depending on your soul contract, where you left off in another life, this is going to be deep for people. Where you left off in another life is where you're going to pick up to heal karmic issues. And those karmic issues are going to follow you until you consciously awaken and see that you continue to make the same mistakes. You have a pattern. Your family has a pattern, and I'm saying you, but I mean me as well. This is all of us. This is collective. When we look around, we see the challenges in relationships because people, they change relationships like they change clothes. And so there's never any happiness because you're not actually working through things that you need to in relationships, such as understanding what love really is, um, understanding what codependency is in a relationship. The soul, dark night of the soul, is going to make you understand that, or you're going to stay in that place that um, Jesus did when he descended. Now, when we look at ascension and descension, what we have is the natal chart. And the natal chart is round, and it has a high level and a low level. And so what we have done is came to the place in life where we made a pact with God or the universe saying what we were going to do here. And some people made a pact with other energies. But anyway, um, the pact that I made was to transform my generational bloodline. It would be with me taking the stand and walking to transform things about myself that came through my mother and father's DNA. All right. And so as we go on, again, I spoke of professional relationships. Everyone that we meet on the path is people that we actually are assigned to collaborate with so that our evolution will either be impeded or we will exceed the challenge with whatever comes up. All right. And so that's going to be different for everyone. Like, for instance, some people will say, I wanted to get married, but I never did. I wanted to have children, but I never did. And so it can be choices that we made while we did not have children. It can be choices that we made where, we never got married. Um, so these are some things to think about. Always, you can email me for questions, but those are ways to think about your karmic contract. What do you see yourself having to have come here to take care of, to change for things to be better for your family and collectively, right? All right. So we talked about challenges in relationships. So, during this period, you might experience significant challenges again in a relationships. Conflicts and misunderstandings are at a high, they're intensified. um, they also make you feel isolated, and they make you feel unsupported. um, your professional struggles, you get a lot of setbacks. um, let's see, job losses, career stagnation. Everything just seems like it's not working for you or for me, or it didn't. That's my conversation. I just felt like, what in the heck is wrong with me? The challenges also will contribute to feelings of, not feeling worthy. Insecurities will come up, but this is where the dark night of the soul is asking us to sit with ourselves, to heal whatever unworthiness. Because why would I think, because things are not working out the way that I think they should work out, that I'm not worthy? Or why would I allow insecurities to come in? And I want to address insecurities in a place where if I feel insecure, then that means that I need to find out where that insecurity is coming from. And that means that I need to go to the root chakra within my body. And I need to meditate because it could have been insecurities that this experience is showing us from our childhood that we need to address. In the relationships, when we look at the intensity of conflict in relationships, it's not just that, oh, you're being tested and it's challenging because you're being tested. It's because there's something that we need to learn about cohabitating peacefully and having healthy relationships. And that only starts with self. So as we allow ourselves to be quiet, conflict ends. You see, two people argue, but when you take one out, there's only one person arguing. The conflict, the argument cannot sustain itself if one person bows out. And that's a matter of humility. This is what the dark night of the soul is teaching us. It's teaching us how to actually humble ourselves and know that it's not in what we do and say concerning the fight, but it's what we don't say. It's a lot. I love it. I love it because at this point, I could see it, I could teach it. When the spirit told me 2 days ago to talk about the dark night of the soul, I was like, what am I going to say? And so the only thing I can say to everyone out there is that you can make it. You definitely need help through it. You know, this is not something. These feelings that I explained, they're not something that you can always work through by yourself. And you definitely need spiritual practice daily because depression and feelings of melancholy can come in. Okay, so I want to move on. Um, the hidden enemies. Um, this 12th house energy. Hidden enemies generally come in and, they're secret because it's hidden. And they're not well wishers. They actually conspire behind your back. But this is the kicker. These people are like the Judas for Jesus. And a lot of times people get angry when they see the Judas aspect, but the Judas aspect, Jesus would have never got to the ascension if Judas hadn't have been a part of his storyline. So in our storyline, we need Judas to push us. We need Judases and the betrayers to help us to get to the elevated place in life. Moses had pretty much a Judas, you know, his situation. David had Judases. Um, Judge Deborah had a Judas because the men didn't believe in women. So this is, a thing here. So when we look at hidden enemies, we also want to look within ourselves and say, what is it in me that is attracting an enemy? Because if I can find that enemy within myself, like the insecurity is enemy, feeling worthless is an enemy, that's my own conviction in myself that I need to heal. Conflict and arguing, trying to fight for myself rather than, allowing God, the universe, to fight for me, which means that I have to learn how to pray. So in this, I love teaching. I also love doing my individual sessions with people because it gives you so much more, to feed off of where you can give information to the individuals that you are gathering. Like here, I'm conversating with, an audience, but you would give me more if you came into my energy. So, significant losses, let's talk about them. The significant losses are so, much like what Job went through in the Bible. Significant losses during the periods of dark night of the soul that you go through. They're normal because what they're teaching is detachment. Um, Really, who do you love? Do you love your things or do you love truly pure life, pure energy, the light of God? Here's your choice now. Which master will you choose? And so during the time that Job went through this, he was overwhelmed. He went through a lot. He it seemed like he had lost. And I always teach those that I work with, these are seeming losses because according to your attitude concerning the situation is how things are going to play out in the reward season because there's a reward season um, regarding the dark night of the soul. the soul has required a change in us. And so we feel unheard. It's not that people don't hear us, but we feel unheard. And it's a period of time. It's a period of time where we actually have to learn how to hear ourselves. You got to be your greatest cheerleader at this time. These are areas where um, we come to know our true self. And I'm going to cut this off and come back and start recording um, later on. I'm going to take a break. Um, and then say God bless us all as we work through the changes of our life and our mind, bodies, and soul, and pray that God will, enhance His Spirit in those that are going through this transformation because you can make it, but you definitely, I feel like people need help or love companionship with someone that knows about it, um, collaboration with someone that knows, the symptoms of dark night of the soul. All right, so blessings. I'll be back with you guys a little later.